My name is Christopher Meter. I've had some long nights, like the first week I was upstate. There were definitely some long nights where you have no contact with anyone. You have, no way of getting mail. You have no way of making phone calls. You have no way of leaving your cell. And it's just extremely depressing. But also, like, when I was getting high and I was doing shit like that, some long nights then, too. I mean, I loved getting high. If I could get high and have an unlimited supply of money and no drama would come along with it, I would absolutely get high every day. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. So, it just leads to more bullshit and more bullshit. But I remember the first time I did painkillers and I broke my ankle. I was actually running from the cops. I was drinking at a friend's house all night till like 3 in the morning. And we finished a bottle of tequila. And we had done some coke. So I was wide awake. And I was running. I wasn't running, I was walking across Susquehanna Road. And a cop drove by. And I was the only person on the road. He was the only car on the road. So he spun around and did a U turn. And I just took off running through people's like backyards and front yards, and I had ran through someone's front yard and jumped like a 4 foot bush, and instead of it being flat on the other side, it was like a 3 foot drop into like a slanted driveway, and I just heard my ankle snap, and I still made it home. I made it home like another half a mile on a broken ankle, and as soon as I got home, I looked at my shoe, and I had white sneakers on, and my shoe was covered. It was just red. It was just covered in blood, and my ankle was like the size of a softball, and I ended up calling an ambulance. And the cops came to my house first and knocked on the door, and they were like, "Oh, so you were the one we were chasing?" And and I laughed, and I denied it because they couldn't do anything because I was already in my house. When I got out of the hospital, they sent me to like a clinic or something like that to get a cast on my leg, and they prescribed me painkillers. And whew, first time I took them, everything felt right. Not to promote the use of opiates or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know, it was a great feeling. And then I had a prescription for maybe a couple weeks, and the first day I went to get off them, I got ridiculously sick, throwing up, like I felt like I had razor blades in my bones. Going through withdrawal, and I didn't know what withdrawal was. And my sister's husband at the time was messing with painkillers, unbeknownst, I guess, to all of us. But I told him what was going on. He was like, "Oh, you're going through withdrawal." And I was like, "Withdrawal? Like, what do you mean? Only heroin addicts go through withdrawal." So he gave me a pill, and he gave me like an Oxycontin, like 40 or something like that. And I took it, and I was magically better again. And that started the whole cycle of taking up to like 40 painkillers a day, and then eventually going to heroin, snorting it, and then you can only snort it for so long before you try to shoot it, and then you start shooting it, and everything goes downhill. I mean, you'll sell your sneakers to get a bag if you have to. I mean, it gets that bad. You steal from family. You do whatever you can to not be sick. Eventually led to jail, but it didn't really lead to jail. In a way, it did because I haven't done opiates since 2006, so it's been almost 10 years. And I got arrested in 2011. So I hadn't done opiates for like 5 years from when I got arrested, but I was drinking crazy amounts of alcohol, and I was taking Xanax a lot. And yeah, just in a blackout kind of night. I had a gun, which I don't know why I got a gun. I'm gonna blame rap music, um, but I had gotten a gun at some point, and just I like going to the shooting range and shit like that. And then in a drunken, blacked out Xanax state of mind, I ended up robbing someone at a bar with two other guys, and 2.5 years later, I'm walking out of jail. The easiest way for me to describe prison is like when you go to the zoo and you see there's like lions in their little cage, and then like giraffes in their little cage and zebras in their little area. It's like when you go to jail, it's like going to the zoo and all the animals are just in one big cage. And it's like, let's see what happens. It sucked. You're sharing showers with like 8 dudes. Yeah, I mean, it's not a pleasant experience. People get stabbed all the time. There's a lot of like bullshit as far as like gambling. I mean, it's the same as it is in like any inner city. Only you're like you can't leave. Looking back on it now, had I not gotten the 2.5 years in state prison and I had gotten like 11 months in the county, I would have absolutely came out and been doing the same thing. Like I would have came out and I would have been drinking all over again, and I would have been, probably taking pills or probably would have got on like Suboxone because I would have convinced myself that I needed it to fight cravings. It's like once you get up there, it's like you have that feeling of like when you get grounded and you're a little kid and your mom says like go to your room and then like a half hour later you're like, all right, I learned my lesson. It's like your second day upstate, that's how you feel. Like, all right, I get it. Like, I learned my lesson now. Like, let me out. And it's like, no, you have another 2.5 years that you can sit for, or another 10 years or 5, whatever, however long people get. But it gives you a lot of time to think, and it gives you a lot of time to think about like what's important and what you're gonna do when you get out. And at the end of the day, had I not gone through that, I was in the county and I was getting visits, and I would have been on work release, and I would have been out almost every day. I would have been right back to doing the same bullshit. So in a way, it was a good thing, even though it was a fucking horrible experience. And then when you get out and you're on parole, parole says, okay, well, we want you to do these classes 3 times a week that you have to be at. You have to come see me 1 day a week. And then you have to have a job and you have to pay off your fines, with the money from that job. So it's kind of like you're almost like set up to fail in a way because they tell you you have to be all these places, but it's like it's hard enough to like try to get a job as a felon, and then you get a job and you have to tell them like, oh, well, I can only work 2 days a week because I have to go to 3 classes a week and I have to report to my PO once a week and I have to do this and I have to do that. So when you first get out, like it's tough. I mean, I can 100% see how people who come out and don't have anything, like they come out and they have 2 kids they have to support and they have pretty much nothing, end up, selling drugs and making quick money and end up going back. Like I can see it. Luckily for me, I had support and I had a family and I had a job that I was able to go back to as soon as I got out. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'd like to have kids one day, I guess, but I'd want to have kids brought into a stable environment. I feel like it'd be irresponsible for me to like try to have a kid now when I don't, when I'm just still getting my own shit together. Like I'm just getting a place. I'm just, got a stable job like 3 months ago. What would I want them to know? Drugs are bad? No, like, no, I don't know. I'd want them to know that no matter what you go through, you can always come back from it. It's like that stupid saying, like, fall off the horse to get back on, or whatever it is, that whatever that saying is. Yeah, I guess no matter how dark things get, there's always a light to find somewhere. So whether you are addicted to dope, whether you're addicted to something, whether you're in jail for a long period of time, keep your chin up and just do what you got to do. Because if you really want to do the right thing, you'll find a way to get it done. I can't really think too much in the future because it's it's not promised. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to say I'm gonna be a millionaire, or I'm gonna be this, or I'm gonna be that, but at the end of the day, like no one knows. So why wonder?